Hello, welcome to my channel. This is Florida Native. My name is Leah. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. Wow, today has been a day. It is actually my birthday. Still have about 45 minutes left of my birthday. And it's been nonstop. Actually, what did I do today? It was hot in Florida. Naturally, I had my little fan going. I just got back a couple hours ago from my grandmother's house. We have some family in town. Her daughter and my cousin came into town, so it was a nice little afternoon, evening with family as we gather around my grandmother, who is 101. I said earlier in a video last week that my grandmother had gone to the hospital ER last Monday, and they did a CT scan. They actually found a mass on her liver, and the oncologist opted not for, did not recommend getting a biopsy or any type of surgery. So we didn't, there wasn't anything conclusive. She had been experiencing some pain. So those that are in the medical field could probably, take some, understand what she might be going through. So at this point, we are looking at pain management for her. So it's been pretty tough week. Hopefully you guys are having a good week. Maybe some of you are going through some challenges, some family challenges, and maybe some of you are going through some issues. As life is, we want to always take the positive, or try to look at the positive and the lessons that life gives us. And of course, having our firm foundation with God, knowing that His will be done. And in the meantime, we are spending time with my grandmother and having some family time. And I was actually talking to my baby cousin about generational curses, generational patterns that some of you might experience, and you realize, or you have awareness of certain patterns that we see in family dynamics. And it could be coming from maybe divorce, or parents separating, or neglect, or childhood abuse. There's many situations that affect children. Sorry about my hair, it's kind of crazy. So I'm just going to tie that back. But I just wanted to come in and just talk about our connections that we can make with each other, especially when we're in the situations where we have maybe some conflict between family members, possibly friends, probably people that we have in our life, and what we can do today to try to align with who we are at the spiritual level, or our potential, what we could potentially learn, what we can communicate with others, opening up our hearts, learning forgiveness, seeing things from different perspectives. And we all have different perspectives based on our background, and how we deal with challenges is always going to be different from person to person and from generation to generation. But it just might be that it might end with you and the generational, what they say, curses, the generational patterns that are maybe distortions of what align with our Creator, because God wants us to be of service and find the love for others, and maybe resolve conflicts, and use communication through our voice, through taking the perspective of others and understanding your own possible resentments and letting go and moving forward. We all have to choose our battles in life and what we want to hold on to and what we choose to let go. And hopefully we could heal these broken connections if that's possible. Everybody's situation's different. Sometimes at where you are, where that other person is, sometimes it's not a situation, or it's just not the right timing, and you'll know whether it's the right timing, whether to keep your boundaries up between people, depending on where they are. Have they healed? Have they put some work into their particular wounds, hurts, past pains? Like I said, some of you have gone through some pretty difficult situations, and they've affected your relationships, they've affected your connections, they've affected how you move in this lifetime. And what I was talking to my cousin about was just what we're born into, our family dynamic, possibly choosing our particular life lessons, and how those lessons are learned and how they're presented in our life. When we have that firm foundation with God and our Creator, knowing that every lesson is for the best and our highest good, and if we can follow our intuition and listen to those messages or nudges, those gut feelings, in order to move smoothly through our life purpose. Some of you are there to maybe even influence those generations before us, where they might have experienced something more patriarchal, where there's a balance. We bring in that balance of femininity, the divine feminine, and I'm not talking about gender. All of us have that aspect of ourselves where we have both the masculine and the feminine in our makeup. And by that I mean someone who, the feminine being more loving, more gentle, more motherly, that aspect, or the characteristics of the feminine, and also the characteristics of the masculine, where you're assertive and you are decisive and you take leadership roles. And again, this is present, or we try to balance that in our lifetime, regardless of what gender, man, woman, in any soul, we're playing this balancing game in life. And this is apparent in some of the situations that our grandparents or even our parents have experienced, where today there is an awareness that both exist in the individual. So as we are making that shift, I think humanity is making that shift of balancing now the divine feminine, and where it leaned more in the past as the divine masculine. We all have that aspect of our Creator that has the perfect balance of both. So this has nothing to do with men and women. This has more to do with the energy of masculine and the energy of feminine. And again, we possess both in ourselves. And having that balance and alignment with our Creator, who has that perfect balance, will help to, let's say, allow you to move with the flow and allow you to move more smoothly in this journey of life, and also have that awareness that whether you're both energies are balanced inside you, or if there's some balancing that needs to happen, maybe more compassion if you have more of the divine masculine energy, and it's not a judgment call, it's just the energies. And if those who are interested in energies or are familiar with observing or experiencing or having that awareness, you're able to use your intuition to balance that within yourself in order for you to really connect with others and understand people where they're at. So sometimes this can take decades before you realize this, or you have this awareness, and sometimes you might not have the awareness at all, but it does exist. And we have this dichotomy where there's also the roles of the past of the masculine and the feminine. And I think in this day and age, we're moving towards this blending, this more balanced state. Now, whether you like that or not, again, it's not really about gender roles. It has nothing to do with that. It's something that's within yourself, your own development, your own spiritual journey, coupled with your personality and your background, and how we can live harmoniously with those around us, and especially our family members. So I just wanted to touch base with you guys. I know that it's a heavy energy, and I feel it in my own life. People might say it's because it's Mercury retrograde, and that could possibly be it. The planets where we are all of our Creator. We all come from our Creator. So everything has that possibility and that potential. And sometimes when we go through life and as we age, we accept certain things about ourselves, and everyone is different. Whatever you are accepting about yourself, maybe it's the way you were raised, maybe the fact that you were affected, possibly in a way through when you were growing up, maybe your childhood upbringing, the way your parents thought that were impressed upon you, and how it's influenced you. Perhaps you just blindly accepted whatever they believed and never questioned it, or maybe some of you went against the grain and maybe challenge some of those beliefs. And I think that's what my cousin and I were talking about, was challenging some of those beliefs, because today as humans, we're in a position now where there's more equality between the genders. So our roles, my cousin, she's a woman, I'm a woman, there's less There's less division. Now, of course, you have your traditional roles again, but again, this is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that within yourself, that energy, that what you put forth in you in things that you do, whether it be in work, whether it be in relationships, and any situation that you might encounter. So ultimately, it is a unique and individual experience. So maybe some of you, it's new to you about this feminine and masculine energy that we all possess. Maybe some of you you understand this and have used this and have balanced this in your life in order to better understand others. And that's really what it's about. Like today, that we had 2 generations, even though my cousin's almost 10 years, I think she's more than 10 years younger than me. And, her experience with my grandma, is going to be different, or is definitely different from how I grew up with her, because she saw her more. She was on the same part of the country growing up, seeing her pretty much on a daily basis. And, maybe being 10 years younger, we just have different experiences with my grandmother. At the core, we both know that she's been through a lot, as that generation has, where the feminine energy, women, usually married men or got with their partner that was usually the breadwinner, was the provider. So it was a traditional situation. But even so, back in that day, my grandmother had her own businesses. She ran her own small businesses throughout her life, and she's a businesswoman, an entrepreneur. She was also a wife, a mother of 4, very independent. A lot of the time she lived, my grandfather was off, 7-8 years in the Navy, so he was gone a lot. So there was a lot of challenges that she faced that someone of my generation or the next generation will never have to encounter. So we have so much to learn from each other by understanding these energies, the masculine and feminine energy. And my grandmother was that perfect example, that perfect balance of the masculine energy, where she had her own business and she brought money in and she provided and took care of her children and put them through school, and others and relatives that she put through school, and worked while my grandfather was serving the U.S. Navy and serving in the Navy. And then she was also the mother, the caregiver. She bore 4 children and made things happen. She had that. And for me, and probably some of you, have seen that same thing with your grandparents or your parents or your great-grandparents. Take whatever resonates with you. And I wanted to touch on that because it is so important to recognize as humans what we are capable of and what our potential is. It no longer has to be just one energy dominant over the other. And also that also goes to the roles that men and women and any gender really plays in this game of life. So I really enjoyed just touching on this subject. What Spirit wants me to express for this message is these energies that are maybe apparent to you or maybe not so apparent to you. We can work with this. We could work with both, or degrees of masculine, feminine in our lives when we interact with others, have personal relationships with others, close personal relationships with others, when we're having conflicts also with possibly family members or partners, co-workers, and taking that time to think about how that has affected who we are, or who we think we are, how we see ourselves, because this also could help define who you are, or help you understand who you are, because we are both. We are, or we can be, or we have the potential to be that perfect balance. And there's never any judgment. It's all a beautiful, beautiful potential for everyone. And I'm just going to leave that with you. Hopefully this resonates with someone that is getting on your spiritual path. If you're getting on that spiritual path, it is part of understanding who you are, what you're capable of, your own self-love and self-worth. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments or any thoughts, feel free to leave it in the comments below. And I will see you guys on the next video. Take care.